Hello, welcome back to the second part of day two. So, we just finished talking all about generating energy. And in this section, we're going to talk about eliminating energy drains because it's great that we're generating energy, but let's remove some things that are actually taking some of that greatness that we're doing, the work that we're doing to generate energy. Let's get some things out of the way that might be reducing energy that we don't need to have in our lives. So, this is all about getting some of those distractions out of the way so that the work that we do is easier, smoother, and more effortless. So, let's dive in. So again, we're still in energy cycles. We've already talked about alignment and rhythm over with our first day, and then tomorrow we'll spend more day on logistics. But today, again, we're finishing up on energy. And so you might be saying, "Hey, I thought Plan Jam was going to be all about planning," and it is. But I like to call this like ninja planning because we're not talking about being productive. So Plan Jam is not a productivity course or productivity retreat. It's about really doing planning the things that are going to make a difference in your life. So Plan Jam is about living your best life. And in order to do that, it's not so much about checking boxes. It's about, I want to call it ninja planning because it's like we're changing our life, we're changing our patterns, we're changing the way we do things. That's what we're planning. We're planning to be more intentional about the things that we do during the day. And so we've talked about planning for energy, right? So that was actually a plan. We've made a plan. We built a toolbox. We know now to review our day and to decide where we're going to put in our different tools so that we have the energy. We've talked about wrapping up plans. So that was a huge segment on just closure so that you have a clear space for the holiday season coming up. And we've also talked about plans for appreciating and celebrating. So we've actually done a lot of planning. It just isn't your traditional how to be more efficient, how to get more done. It's not time blocking, and we're not talking about that so much. So I wanted you to kind of celebrate, like, woohoo, we really have done planning, but we've done an impactful and purpose-based planning. We're not doing to-do lists and productivity. So just want you to feel like, yes, we are doing planning. It's a little bit more sneaky. And what I want to say is it's like we have to have the transformation before the tactics. And so this is all about that mental transformation of seeing the autumn season completely differently than you've seen it in the past, and understanding that it has a purpose, that there are things that we do, again, that doing things at the right time, going back to here, that alignment, that rhythm, doing things at the right time. That's what this is all about. You're learning how to work with the seasons and how to work with energy so that you're doing the right things at the right time. So again, closure, completion, celebration, those are all the big themes of the harvest season. So let's talk a little bit about goal setting because you're probably like, I wanted to come here and set some goals. And that's what most of traditional planning is about, right? You make some goals and then you make an action plan and you go off and you do it, and that's awesome, and we're going to do that, but we're going to do that at the right time. So timing is everything. And in January, February, those are the times to make those kind of plans. This season, as we've talked about, is about closure. It's not about starting a new plan. It's about wrapping up the plans that you have. So if you stick with me, we're going to talk about January and February and how to set goals. But again, it's not our goal for this season. And you may say, well, why? I want to start some goals. Well, you know what's coming, right? The holiday season it's just enough to keep up with the holiday season. It's enough to stay, like, to maintain. So the holiday season is really about, connection and enjoyment, but it's also about maintaining. It's kind of like not slipping backwards so much, but enjoying the holiday season. So you're going to maintain your fitness levels, but you're not going to be trying to grow your fitness levels. You're going to maintain maybe your business or your work, but it's not about starting new projects because the constant interruptions, the holidays, the parties, the days off, the shorter days. Like, there's just so much chaos in the holiday season, and we want to be there to enjoy it and be present. And the best way to be present is to kind of clear our deck. So that's why we're doing that in the fall, is to wrap up, and so we have that space. So if we talk about, again, understanding the nature, and that we are out of sync with nature, and that's okay. I mean, it's just something to be aware of. It's now having that knowledge, you can now combat it a little bit better as you understand that you need to generate the energy because you're not going to get it from nature. And then we need to set up systems so we can use our energy wisely. And this segment is going to be all about those energy drains. So let's spend a little bit of time on energy drains. So there's three that we're going to focus on in this session. Mental clutter, which is all those distractions, the squirrels, the shiny objects. And yes, raise your hand if you are a shiny object sufferer. I'm doing much, much better. I feel like I'm in recovery now. But we'll talk a little bit about that mental clutter. Then we're going to talk about time clutter because there's definitely some things on your plate that kind of fit this closure theme that we're going to address in time clutter. And then there's decision fatigue, which is you're making decisions over and over again about things that, the same decision over and over and over, like what to eat, what to wear. So we'll talk about that and how that kind of is a drain that we can easily remove. And that's I love decision fatigue. I love being able to work on that aspect. So let's dive in. So mental clutter. We need white space, right? White, just like the snow, just like winter. Take our clues from winter. We need white space in order to dream. And January and February is really about dreaming. It's about having all that beautiful white space to think again. And so, in order to do that, we need to kind of, again, clear the decks. We need to get some things off of our plate so that we have this room, this spaciousness to breathe. So, there's three main culprits to mental clutter: mindless consumption, comparison and judgment, and then being the busy trap. So let's dive in. Mindless consumption. That's for all those times you reach for this lovely little thing, your phone. And you're just like, I do that. And I am guilty. I will raise my hand. I am guilty of this. But it's when you just pick up your phone and you just start scrolling social media. For me, I constantly go to ThreadUp. I have no intention to buy anything, but I'm on there and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at my saved searches. Or maybe you're just watching videos, funny cat videos, whatever it is. But you're cluttering your mind with all this useless chatter. And there's a time in the day, time during the day where you're like, okay, I'm done with all the hard work, and it's okay. It's time to, if you want to binge watch Netflix, but I want you to have like mindful consumption. Like, make sure that you've done all the things that you want to do, and that you keep that the mindless stuff, the scrolling and the watching TV that's just not even helpful. Like, just make sure that you've kind of given that as a little spot, and that you're intentional. Like, okay, I allow myself some time each day to play a stupid video game or to watch a stupid TV show. So it's not saying you can never do it. It's not. But it's mindful. At that point, I've decided, what am I going to allow into my world? And I'm not so much, just not even aware. Like, it's unconscious consumption of stupid stuff. So think about what's coming into your life, and is it cluttering your life? Is it adding to your life? Is, binge watching the news or the drama shows, like, are those the things you want to allow into your energies field? Like, I, sometimes I see those commercials for the Real Housewives of whatever. I'm like, oh my God, who would watch this drama? Because it's so much negativity, and people thinking that that's the way life is supposed to be. It's like, no, that's what sells, airtime. That's what gets the advertisers in. It's the drama, people coming in to see the latest train wreck. But is that what you want your life to be about? Do you want that coming into your life? So I want you to think about mindful consumption, and allow some time for stupid shows if that's what you want to do, or stupid scrolling. But make sure that it's not having a negative impact on your life. It's not bringing in some negative feedback, negative news, negative just clutter. Oh, yeah. No. So be mindful about what you're consuming and whether or not it's contributing to your life. Now, you don't always have to be learning. You don't always have to be watching documentaries. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, be mindful of when you allow yourself to play a video game or do a little online shopping. Now, keep it to a small amount, and make sure that you've got all your good stuff done, all the good energy things. If you are committing to learning on a regular basis, like, I always have an hour for learning. I have time for journaling, time for meditating. Like, make sure those things are covered before you start diving into some of this mindless consumption. Next is comparison and judgment. You don't even realize you're doing this, but for every time you look at a post, you're making decisions, like thousands and thousands of decisions as you're sitting there scrolling. Like, do I like this post? Do I agree with this post? Do I want to comment to this post? How does this person who's posting, or how does this statement compare to me? Like, you are making all these decisions that are using up energy, and I don't want to say stupid, but they're mindless decisions. They don't mean anything. So as you're watching, some of this, or scrolling through some of the social media stuff, you are using so much brain power. So again, if you're going to do it, fine, make a set time for it. Allow yourself 30 minutes or whatever, and make it at the end of the day when your energy is, you've used all your energy for the good stuff. Don't waste so much time using your good energy, like on lunch hour, and like now you're scrolling through, or you've got 5 minutes and you're waiting somewhere, and so now you're scrolling through. Like, you're using mental energy that could be used for something better, could be used for working on your dreams, could be used for making, bringing that A game. Like, why would you waste that energy on social media and comparison and all this, like, drama on social media, when you could be using that same energy to make your life the best life possible? So cut that down, cut it out if you want. I'm off social media. I have zero social media. I use YouTube for my content, but I never really, if I consume anything on YouTube, it's videos on education. I don't sit there and watch anything silly. I go in there, I have a thing like, like the other day, I was like, how do I take the blade off of my Vitamix? So I was on there, I learn what I need to learn, and I get off. So just be conscious of what you're doing on social media and on the online in general. Like if you're shopping, why are you shopping? And you're looking at each outfit going, well, how will that look on me? Is that a good price? How fast will I get it? Do I have anything to wear with it? Like all those decisions are being made as you're scrolling through something. And it's such a waste of our energy. And you spent so much time generating energy. Why would you want to waste it on some of this mindless stuff? And then the being busy. And again, I raise my hand. That's me. Um, you feel like it's a badge of honor, like when you have so much, like when you're checking so many boxes, like you get that endorphin hit when you check a box, check a box, check a box, and it feels like you're important. Like, look at me, I got all this stuff done today. I am important, and it's not. It's really a way of going numb. So when you're being busy, you don't have to think about how maybe dissatisfied you are, or disillusioned, or frustrated. Like those feelings can kind of get buried under the badge of being busy. And it also helps you from being bored. Like you say, well, if I'm constantly doing something, I'm constantly looking at things that have to be done and going out there and doing it, like you feel like you're productive and you're not just sitting there being bored. But there's something to be said for sitting down and being still and just being bored and kind of looking around and being like, what am I thinking? What am I feeling right now? It's like you start to have to pay attention to you instead of being externally fixated on what needs to be done next. What needs to be done next? If you sit still, you might actually have to deal with you and what you're feeling. And a lot of times when we're using that busyness, it's because there's something inside that we really just don't want to address. For me, it was my relationship, and it was my home. Like I didn't want to deal with how unhappy I was, and so it was easier to be busy. And then when I was busy, not only was I important, but I was a martyr. It was like, look how hard I'm working, and you people are all sitting there. And it's not like they were actually doing that, but I had this vision, this filter that said, I'm the only one working hard here. So it's a trap that you fall into, and it's really just mental clutter. You want to get rid of it because you don't need this fake busyness. And then when you start to get quiet, again, we're talking about this white space. When you start to give yourself room for this white space, then all of a sudden you can start to dream. And yes, you're going to have to deal with some ugly stuff that's inside. And I get it. It's hard work, and we're going to do it. It's okay. You have the Slack group to help you. You can get therapy if it's really bad, but you need to address it. If you want to live your best life, you can't be masking how unhappy or how frustrated you are. We need to get past that so we can start to dream and start to live. And so if you've got that busy badge going on, that's just a form of mental clutter. It's just a way for you to go numb and not feel what's going on in your life. So I've definitely been there. I get it. So those are our big time clutters. So look to get rid of them. If you're doing something, or you ask yourself, am I doing this just so I can be busy? Am I scrolling just because I don't want to be bored? Am I consuming this TV show and it's just pouring negativity into me? Like, do you go to bed and you're thinking about that show that you just watched and you're kind of amped up and you're like, oh, and now I'm supposed to relax and go to sleep after I just watched people screaming and yelling at each other? Like, no. Or you just watch the thriller and you're like, bah. Look at those things. Start being intentional about them. Wake up to how you are consuming things, how you're using your time, and decide, is that the best use of my energy, or is it draining my energy that could have been better used in another way? Now let's look at some time clutter. So we need to free our time in order to work on our dreams. So there's some things that you're doing on a regular basis that you don't need to do. And we're going to talk about delegating. And I know I hate that word. We're going to talk about it. Delegating, declining, and deleting. I like the 3 Ds. So let's dive into it because it's actually not that bad. So delegating, don't think about it as like, oh, I need to hire somebody. It's more like asking for help. And do you have a big ego thing here? When it becomes to asking for help, do you feel like, the more things I accomplish myself, the more important I am? And so it's a sense of pride to say, hey, I can do it all and not ask for help. And how do I know that? Because I do it all the time. And I'm recovering. Again, I feel like I'm in such a better place, but I know now to ask for help. So when you ask for help, do you feel like it's like that sign of weakness? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. You have to evaluate this for yourself, but it's really not a sign of weakness to say, hey, I don't have the time for this right now. Can someone help me? And I'll give you an example, a story. My mom used to always complain that she couldn't go out on the weekends, and she saw her friends going out and having a great time, and they were golfing and going out to dinners and all that. And she's like, I have to be home, and I have to manage this household, and I have to do all this housework. And then she would ask for help. And it wasn't really that she wanted our help. Her idea of help was Can you vacuum? We're all little kids at this time. Can you vacuum? Can you polish? And then she would go around behind us and she would do it all again because we never vacuumed good enough. We never polished the furniture good enough. Like it was never good enough for her standards. And so, what I might say to you, or what I am saying to you right now, is maybe you need to lower your standards in some areas. The world is not going to fall apart if your house is not 100% clean to your standards. Can you ask for help, accept that help, and have it come in a little bit of a lower standard? Now my mom has a cleaning lady and she still pre-cleans and post-cleans after this cleaning lady comes through. I'm like, stop, stop. She's an older woman now. And I'm like, you don't need to be that persnickety about your house because no one is judging you but you. And it's you don't, a speck of dust is not going to make your house fall down. So lower your standards in some areas where it's just not that important. Ask yourself if you're the best person to do this work, because maybe you're not. At her age in life, hauling around the vacuum cleaner, going up and down the stairs, bending down, cleaning the floors. She's not the best person for the job anymore. And so hiring help in her case is a good thing. Asking for help is sometimes a better person to do the job. For me, like I am not a perfectionist. So if I want something done really, really well, I am not the best person for the job. So it's like when I need to build something, I'm okay if it's a very easy thing, but if it's a kit, I can build it. But if it's something where it needs to be built from scratch, I know I am not the person. When it comes to baking, I am not the person to call for baking. I'm not the best person for the job. So look at your spouse, your children, and your coworkers, friends, and acquaintances. Like, are there people who are better to do something that you want to get done, or can at least assist you? Like maybe picking out outfits is not the best thing for you, but you could ask for help for somebody whose style you admire and would like to emulate. Maybe you ask them for help picking out clothes. Maybe you like another thing I've seen a lot of people do. I haven't gone there yet, but I'm thinking about it. Is just hiring or getting the groceries shopped and brought to your car. So using whether it's Instacart or every major grocery store now has the shopping service. So is it the best use of your time, or could you ask for help to say, "Hey, I'm just going to have a shopper pick everything out because number one, I won't get distracted. Number two, I'll save a ton of time." So is it your in your best interest to ask for a little help in those areas, and just all you have to do is drive up, pick up your groceries, and drive home? You got to focus on what's the best use of your energy, and your energy is used for living your best life. It's not for grocery shopping or cleaning your house. If those things are very important to you, that's fine, but maybe you want to lower your standards in those areas and accept a little bit of help. So delegate. And so I hope that gives you a different perspective on it. It's not about you not being able to do it. It's not about your ego. It's not about, yes, you could do it if you had to, but it's not the best use of your energy. So if you've decided it's not the best use, find someone else to do it for you. Decline responsibilities. Okay. As school starts back up and workloads ramp back up, what's going to happen, right? You're going to be asked to take on certain projects. You're going to be asked to join, the PTA or take on this event or whatever it is. And you need to start thinking about saying no. And again, this is like that badge of honor thing of saying, "Hey, I can take it all. If you ask me, I can do it." And maybe it's just, again, is it the best use of your energy? Is it the best use of your time? And the chances are that it's taking you away from your dreams, it's taking away from your priorities in life. So look at it and say, is this opportunity in alignment with what I want to accomplish? Is it part of my value system? Is it part of my path to my dreams? Will it open up doors that will then help me later? Or is it just something that's going to take away my time, take away my distractions, and my ego saying, I want to say yes, but it's really not the best use of my time? And here's a great example. The library, I volunteer there and I spend a lot of time there. And they are looking for some trustees on their board. And I go to the trustees meeting, so I know what they do. And it's very administrative. It's very by the rule book. It is not in alignment with me at all. And I constantly sit there and go, oh, they're short a person. I should really step up. I should really put my name in the running so I can help them. But if I look at what they actually do and I look at my skill set and I look at my dreams and the things I'm an event planner. I love to put things together. Sitting there and doing administrative duties and making sure everything is perfectly in alignment, that the budget balances, that there's no typos. Like that kind of detail is not me. I'm not the rule follower. I'm the rule breaker. I'm the creative sort, not the detailed knuckle down and get it all 100% right sort. So it's a terrible fit for me. And I have to keep reminding myself that that is not an alignment. That would be me trying to fit somewhere that I don't belong, and I'm not the best person for the job. So the long-term implications of saying yes to that would be a 5-year Commitment. Really? 5 years to something that I don't really feel in alignment with, it's not gonna move me closer to my dreams. And so you're gonna ask yourself, what will happen if I say no? Will the world end? Or will they just go find somebody else to do that? If your boss is giving you something to do, can you offer other options that say, "Hey, I can do that, but that mean I won't be working on this. And am I the best person that you have for this job?" And maybe offer them some other options. And you have to be creative about what those other options are. Maybe it's something that gets put off to another time because you're in the middle of something big. Maybe it's something you say, hey, there's a younger coworker coming up who really would love this opportunity and will put in extra effort because they're trying to prove themselves, and I don't have that time to give the extra effort. I don't know. But start to think about declining responsibilities, especially when they're not in alignment with your vision, your mission, and you're living your best life. And then delete. It's time to take some things and say bye bye, no more. So look at the responsibilities that you already have on your plate. And again, if they are not in alignment with what you're going to do, if they're not in alignment with your A game, what you want to do in life, your best life, then it's time to start looking at them and saying, well, can I give it to somebody else? Is it time for my kids to start taking over dinner? So that was the delegate. And if it's not, is it time to delete something? Is it time to just say, I'm making a trade off here. Every time I do this, I am not giving my time to this. And is this trade off something I really want to make? And if I stop doing this, what will happen? Again, it's that asking yourself the question of, well, if I say no, or if I stop doing something, is it going to completely make my world fall apart? Are there other options? So it's kind of the same thing. So you're looking at either can you delegate something, can you decline it and never get it in the first place? Or do you have responsibilities on your plate that no longer need to be there? And there's probably a few of those as you start to look through, you say, hey, you know what? I've been doing X, Y, and Z all this time. And maybe it's time for me to look at it differently. So if you've been driving all the time to the kids' soccer games or whatever it is, can you say, okay, well, can I delegate? Can we carpool so that I don't have to do it as much? Is there a way to delete it? Is there a way to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this, but I have an older child who's now driving, and they can start taking on this responsibility. Look at the bigger picture and start to say, what are the things that I can take off of my plate so that I don't have to spend so much time and I'm not making this trade-off of something I really want to do, and instead I'm doing something that's just not moving me towards my dreams. So those are your three options: delegate it, decline it, or delete it. Now let's look into decision fatigue. This is my favorite area to really work on. So every time you make a decision, you're using energy. And if you're making decisions over and over and over about the same things, you're really, really kind of killing your energy. So we're going to talk about deciding once, simplifying, and making it easier. So let's dive in. Deciding once. Every time you get up in the morning, what are the decisions you're making every single morning? What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to wear? What do I need to pack and to get to the car today? Like all these decisions, you could start to come up with formulas for. So you could have a weekly formula for what you wear, maybe. You could have combination formulas, like every time I wear this outfit. I had one coworker, when she'd go to the store, she would buy an outfit. She'd have the salesperson help her, and she would buy an outfit, an entire outfit, including the jewelry, the handbag, the whole nine yards. The blouse, she like wore business suits at the time. And they would go in the closet on the hanger together with the jewelry, everything. And that's just, she always wore that outfit exactly the way she purchased it and never varied. And so she didn't have to make decisions about, well, which top goes with this, which shoes go with that. She knew because she bought it, she designed it that way. And every time she wore that particular outfit, she knew everything that went with it. Um, there's other things that you could do, like chores. Could you do like a 15-minute a day chore, and you just have a formula that says, okay, on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do that? Like, can you just pre-decide some of this stuff and only have to decide it once? So could it be like, I have like manicure Mondays, so every Monday I do my nails and just do a little manicure. So it's a formula. Every Monday I know what I'm doing. I don't have to think about it. It's pre-decided. And could you also have an evaluation question that says, what is the most important thing for me to do during this season? So in fall, it's like, okay, what matters most right now? What do I need to wrap up? What do I need to delete? What do I need to decide on? Like trying to come up with like a one question that just says, kind of like pre-deciding everything that you need to do for that time frame. So for me, my question is like, what can I give here? So if I'm at an event and I'm looking at all the different options I have of what I can do, I'm looking at what can I give in this event. that makes things easier. So I'm not deciding all the different things like, oh, I could work over here, I could work over here, I could work over here. It's like, no, here are my skills. What can I give? So like the library, what can I give is my primary question. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can't give my administrative time. I can't give time in the evenings because I don't want to do that. So what can I give? I can give things over in here during the daytime. I can volunteer on creative projects. So it helps me pre-decide. So I'm only deciding once what I'm going to do in each area. So look for those weekly formulas. And do like you could do like a on the menus you could have like Taco Tuesday, Meatless Mondays. So you can have weekly formulas like that make it so easy. You don't have to decide what's for dinner because you know it's going to be, Meatless Mondays. And there you go. You walk into Monday and you know what you're going to eat. So look at those formulas. What can you decide once? I had one friend who had a Monday wardrobe, and that's all she wore on every Monday. She knew what she was wearing. And every Friday was dressed down Friday. She knew what she was wearing every Friday. So those two bookends were already pre-decided for, and she knew what to do in between. Simplify. What else can you do to simplify things? What can you strip down and make easier? So the batch meals is an easy thing. Like what can you make on Sunday that now gives you meals for the week? How can you make things more effective and efficient? Like, can you buy pre-cut veggies? If that takes too much time for you, like, can you go to the store and just buy the fresh veggies that are pre-cut? It saves you time. There's a whole thing I could talk to you about workouts. Maybe I might do a whole separate section on making the most effective and efficient workout because that's something I'm passionate about. But how can you make things just easier by making them more effective, more efficient, and look at like what you can do to experiment in this area. It's like if I cut corners, if I stop doing this, what will happen? Like be experimental about how you simplify things, and also look at those delegating things to simplify things. Like to say, hey, like I used to have a meal on Wednesday's meal. It was the kids' turn to cook. So as they got older, it was like Wednesdays were kids' cook day. And so it was helping me start to delegate because I didn't want to be cooking dinner. I'm not a chef. So on Wednesdays, it was like, well, I delegate. And it's kind of letting the kids have their turn to make dinner. And so I'm simplifying things. I'm batching things up. I'm cutting things out and just making sure that everything I'm doing is a little bit easier. So as you start to do a task, look at it and say, hey, there's 12 steps here. This is how I do laundry. Like another thing, like simplify. This is so simple and so stupid. But sorting the clothes was always a pain in the butt until I bought one of those three laundry basket sorter systems. And so the colors were already in one, the darks were already in one, the whites were already in one. And like that was such a easy, simple thing to do to have three baskets. Everybody pre-sorted their laundry. It simplified things and it was easy. It didn't really cost me anything to have three baskets there. And so like that's so easy. So look at some of those things that you can say, hey, I can make my life so much simpler if I just did this. If I just did this with the mail, or I just did this. So you're looking for those things that are repetitive over and over that are taking so much of your time, your mental energy, because you're deciding about them, and see what you can do to simplify. And lastly, let's look at how you can make it easier. This is another one of my favorites, which is what can you do now to make something easier later? So a lot of that is a night before routine. So like before you go to bed, can you lay out some of the things that you need for breakfast the next day? Um, if you're going to go to bed and you really want to make sure that you have your workout clothes ready for the next day, can you pre-pack them and have them? So anything that you need to go out the door, can you already have it all ready next to your keys so you don't forget it and you don't have to worry about it when things are crazy busy in the morning? You've already set it up at night. So what can you do the night before? Lay out breakfast dishes. If your kids are younger, can you already have the breakfast dishes out, everything that's non-perishable out and ready for them to reach and use without you having to do anything? Like I'll set up my journal, my candle, my pen, and just kind of have it all laid out just the way I want. My AirPods, everything's right there on the table. So when I come down in the morning, it's already preset, and it will also help you with health routines. So at night, if there's certain things that you forget, like you never remember to floss, say, have your floss out. So before you leave in the morning, put your floss out, put your moisturizer out, whatever it is you kind of forget to do conveniently, have it all laid out there. So when you come home and you start your night routine, boom, there it all is. It's all ready for you. And then look at things you can automate, like obviously bills. Most people do that, but what can you put on auto ship so you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to? It's one less thing you have to get at the grocery store. Can you have reminders on your phone, reminders in your calendar, so that you don't have to think, you don't have to spend mental clutter trying to remember certain things. Like when you get your car inspected, go ahead and put a 1 year date on your calendar. Say, hey, make sure you get your car inspected in this month. So mine's coming up in the next month. So I already have that reminder. And as soon as I do something, as soon as I go to the eye doctor, then I put a reminder a year later, say, hey, make another eye doctor appointment. So do whatever you can to automate those kind of things. So again, you can forget about it. You can set it and forget it and not have to worry about it. Again, that's to schedule the next while you're in the activity, like even sealing the driveway. I put a reminder in my calendar for 2 years away. This is the year you got to seal the driveway. So I don't have to think about it. And then again, the bulk prep, the bulk purchasing. So, can you do different things to set things up so that it's later on, it really helps you not have to think about it. So you've already prepped. Like when I make one meal, I try to make 4 batches so they go in the freezer, and it's easier for later because I don't have to think. So I have a formula, but then I batch it, so it makes it easier. So those weekly meals, I just take something out of the freezer, I'm ready to go. So again, making your life easier. So I know we're getting long in this video and I'm trying to keep them short, but so again, you have your Notion resources, you have the planner. I was thinking about doing a capsule wardrobe mini course, and I'm actually not going to do that. So this slide is wrong. I'm going to put that in a different session. So ignore that lines there because I forgot that it was on there. So I decided to push that off to another time. But I will do a video on more effective workouts just to share that with you. But you can go into the Slack community and share, what responsibilities are you going to delegate, decline, delete, and then also talk about anywhere you want to have some follow up. I'm here for you. I'm happy to help you. But this is an area where you again, remember, we're clearing the decks. We're getting things ready to go to the busy fall season, or busy holiday season. So we're using the fall to really clear the decks. And we know that we want to have that white space for January and February so we can really think and plan. So everything you're doing now is in preparation for the start of the cycle again in the new year. So delegate, delete, decline, have some fun with this. I mean, this is you, this is your life, and you get to make these choices. So I'm just helping you be, your Sherpa, your guide here to say, think about these things and think twice before you start to accept anything. So again, remember, I'm doing this right alongside you. So I hope to see you in Slack, and let's decide together how we can make our lives have the space we need so that we can live our best life ever. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you soon.